Siemens is a multinational company and one of the greatest engineering businesses with divisions in industry, energy, healthcare, and infrastructure. In 2006, after a wide investigation of thousands of interviews, Siemens was accused for corruption. But what is corruption? Corruption is the dishonest or illegal behavior conducted by a person with authority or power in order to achieve a personal benefit. It can be either economical, political, or social benefit through the acquisition of money, goods, or properties. It can be done by a company, a person, or a specific sector. Corruption has a different background, historically and culturally, and the definition might change depending on the place and time. It's a universal phenomenon that was manifesting since the origin of societies. There are different types of corruption, based on the focus and based on the intensity. There is petty corruption, which is practiced in a smaller scale. It can be used for private and public benefit in the course of delivering a public service. Usually involves relatively small amounts of money, including bribery like grease money or speed payments. There is also grant corruption, the most dangerous and covert type of corruption. It is when policies are made and designed with the implementation of compromised corrupt practices. Occurs at financial, political, and administrative centers of power. At last, there is a third type of corruption called systemic corruption, which is primarily due to the weaknesses of an organization and process. It might be contrasted with individual officials or agents who can act corruptly within a system. Factors which encourage systematic corruption include conflicting incentives, discretionary powers, monopolistic powers, lack of transparency, low pay, and cultural impunity. Who is harmed by corruption? The society in general, because it discourages foreign direct investment and for small national businesses that result hard for them to convert initial balances required. Also, corruption discourages credibility and integrity of citizens, even if it starts with a petty corruption. The line between pure corruption and grand corruption might be thin, so it should not start even in a small scale. How did Siemens got involved in the problem of corruption? Before 1999, the German government allowed bribery to gain contracts and could even be deduced from taxes. However, the legislatures were modified after this, prohibiting these kinds of practices, leaving Siemens in a high wire. Siemens didn't look at it from an ethical point, but rather preferred to continue the increase in productivity and growth of the company. Siemens tried to find out a way that could be possible to continue with bribery, covering the features with contracts made with inexistent advisors and great signatures in Greece, Russia, and Nigeria. What were the costs that Siemens had to pay for this problem? In tangible terms, there were financial and monetary costs because of the fines that they had to pay after being discovered, that eventually ascended to $1.6 billion. Also, the loss of some of the contracts, mainly with the government. In intangible terms, there were also high costs directly linked with the human capital and resources. They had to fire employees which had been already an investment from training and from having to hire new ones to use their places. Finally, Siemens' overall image lost credibility. How did Siemens solve the problem of corruption? First of all, the fines were covered by the company. In 2006, there was a reinforcement of internal controls through the formation of an interdisciplinary working group to comfort the situation. Siemens also created a program of achievement which included an explanation of how to use the funds for donations and hospitals. There were also an implementation of a communication program in which all members of the company stayed tuned with each other after a connected network, along with a 24 help program to help find the best solution to ethical problems. Incentives to directors were promoted for the achieving of the programs, and along for other proposals, Siemens created a corporate disciplinary committee for directors or employees that were accused to be linked with any type of corruption. Then, in 2007, there was an amnesty program applied, in which employees could not be punished unless there was any kind of violation reported. In this program, there were 171 employees participating voluntarily. Also, in 2009, 80 compliance employees worked at corporate headquarters and the remainder were employed across the sectors or divisions and the regional companies. Accountability models also changed a little bit, restructuring its operating groups in 3 sectors: industry, energy, and healthcare. The CEO of each sector was charged with responsibility of the compliance within the sector. As a Siemens employee working in a country where laws on corruption are not enforced, we would respond somehow a little different. Ethically, we all know any type of corruption is bad, and sooner or later it can affect you professionally, personally, and emotionally. You never know if the company will respond on your back, so we would implement individual collective action, meaning to use anti-corruption measures in daily individual tasks in order to promote fair competition. It is always better to use transparency and honesty as the first and only resource. Adapt to changes, sticking to rules, and looking at the common benefit, not only for the company, but for the society in general.